afternoon, you all. It is Sophia Laverie here. I'm back with another cook with me video. Today I'm going to do some pasta or spaghetti meal with ground turkey and some tricolor rotini. So it's the rotini with the vegetables like tomato and spinach mixed in. So hopefully my son will eat this. I'm going to go ahead and get started on it. I have my pot of water there on high heat getting ready to come to a boil, so I'll wait for that to boil and then I'll throw my pasta in. In the meantime, I'm going to start on my pan of ground turkey. So what I like to do is take my ground turkey and throw it right in there. You don't need to add any oil to this, even though it's pretty lean turkey. It's pretty juicy, so there's no need to add any oil to the pan. In fact, if you add oil, it'll kind of change the texture of the meat. So I would say just don't add any oil. I have the pan turned up to a medium-high heat. I'm going to wait for this to kind of brown. Now, I don't like to add my seasoning right away. I like for the meat to kind of cook down. It will have a little bit of liquid on it, and sometimes if it's too much liquid, I will drain it off. So I like to wait until the browning process is done before I add my seasoning. So my pot of water has started to come to a boil now. So I'm just going to add in the pasta. It's one of my favorite pastas to eat. I like the texture as well as the taste. And you just want to take your spoon and make sure you stir it so that it doesn't really stick to the bottom. I'll let this go for probably about 8 to 10 minutes and then I'll check on it. So you can see that the ground turkey is not sticking to the pan at all. In fact, it has a little bit of liquid in the bottom of the pan. I'm not sure if you can see that. So there was no need to add any oil. Now I like to go ahead and stir my ground turkey around. I don't like big chunks of meat in my spaghetti. So I like to take my fork and manipulate it and get it down to the smallest pieces of meat that I can get. I like to mince it up with a fork. Find the fork works a lot better for me than a spoon. So that's what I like to do. And I like to manipulate it until it's brown. That way I don't end up with large chunks in my spaghetti. So here you can see sometimes you end up with big chunks of meat. And so what I like to do, what we call in the South mashing, I like to go ahead and mash it with my fork. And that way it breaks it up. So as you can see, it's quite a bit of liquid in the pan. Sometimes this will cook off. It just kind of depends on your heat setting and how much you kind of stir around in it. So we'll see if this liquid cooks off. If it doesn't cook off, then I'm going to go ahead and drain it. The ground turkey is starting to get a little bit more brown, but I want it to get browner than this, so I'm going to continue to cook it. You can see I have a little bit more of that liquid kind of pooling in the middle, but what I'm going to do is turn up the heat and try to evaporate this out of the pan. Okay, y'all, so you can see that that did work. Most of the liquid is evaporated out now. So now if I wanted to really kind of get more brown on this meat, I can go ahead and do that. And it's about time for me to add the seasonings now. And I'll show you what I have. So not doing a whole lot of seasoning. I just have some regular Tony Chachere's seasoning salt that I like to put in here, Creole seasoning. Just some chili powder. And then I have a all-purpose Greek seasoning. I thought it would be appropriate for spaghetti. So I'm going to put that in. You can see I'm starting to get some brown bits on the bottom of the pan, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and put the seasoning in now. I tend to be kind of generous with my seasoning. I don't like bland food all that much. But you don't want to go overboard, but just enough. I don't do any measurements when it comes to seasoning. I just kind of eyeball it. When I think it has enough, I stop. And then I'll taste it and I'll figure it out from there. Here's a look at what my pasta is looking like after 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out. I'm going to go ahead and take my ragu pasta sauce and pour it in. So what I like to do is take my pasta pan and return it back to low heat. Put a little bit of olive oil in there. Put some salt down at the bottom. And then put my pasta back in so I can keep it warm. Pour half of the pasta in. I'm going to put some salt and pepper in now. Put the other half on top. More salt and pepper. And then a tiny little bit of olive oil to make sure it doesn't stick. Just a tiny little bit, a couple of drops. Here is a look at my spaghetti sauce and meat mix. I'm going to go ahead and give this a stir. Here's a look at my meat sauce here, all stirred together. If you find that your sauce is too thin or you have some moisture in there, some water, what you can do is take a little tiny bit of cornstarch and put it down there at the bottom of the pan and swirl it around to make your sauce a little bit thicker. So since I have my casserole dish out, I'm going to go ahead and take my pasta and throw it into the bottom. Then I'm going to take my meat sauce and just kind of spoon it around. Hopefully I don't drop it everywhere. And here's what I'm working with. And then I'm going to take my cheese and put it on top. Probably put the lid on it so that it'll melt down without me having to put it in the oven. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little parsley on top, and I'll come back to show you the plated result. Here is the cheese kind of melted down, y'all. And I'm getting ready to fix me a plate, probably get a salad to go on the side. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in to watch my quick little spaghetti rotini type dinner dish. And stay tuned for more content, and I will see you on my next cooking video.